Ah, the 1960s, the decade of mod fashion, the Beatles, and major royal scandal. But what about the 1960s British sitting room? Today we'll be taking a tour of one of the most iconic rooms in history. Well, maybe not the most iconic, but if you were raised in Britain during this era, you probably spent quite a bit of time in one. So let's start our tour of this swinging era of design. Or let's talk about the centerpiece of the 1960s British sitting room. This was an era of post-war, and so when it came to technology, people wanted it to make a statement. So it is no wonder that these giant combinations of radio and record players known as radiograms was so popular. These behemoths dominated the middle-class living room and were very much the hub of the family's entertainment. These sleek wood panels which dominated the 1950s were out, and manufacturers were eager to please with curvaceous new models. It didn't matter that they were the size of a small fridge. People wanted their music and radio to be seen, and sometimes you could even listen to their favorite artists through the speakers built into the lid. But just like the music they played, times would soon change. By the end of the 1960s, hi-fi was becoming more popular, and the radiogram was on its way out. Up next, let's warm up our hands and faces by the fire. We're going to need that heat, because we're off to Britain in the 1960s. You won't find any roaring log fires here, unless you're one of the privileged few with access to oil heating. Your fuel of choice will be coal. Don't worry though. Manufacturers have come up with a solution. Enter the tiled fireplace. Those beautiful tiles around the front provided an opportunity for homeowners to add some decoration to their otherwise drab and functional houses. Mantels were popular with families adding framed photos and ornaments, while others preferred to go completely mad with elaborate tile designs. Some even featured electric fires for those who lived in flats. But sadly, they fell out of favor as cheap central heating options became available. Our next stop on the tour takes us to the walls themselves. For example, the iconic Artex range of wallpapers, which allowed you to customize your own designs. But while these bold choices are now sought after by retro lovers, at the time they proved to be too garish for many. By the 1970s, tastes had already started to turn toward the cleaner look of plain white walls. If you really want to transport yourself to the 1960s, you can't skip the iconic black and white television set. The BBC was the only game in town until the commercial channels arrived in the late 1980s. But towards the end of the decade, health campaigns led to restrictions on advertising, and smoky bars and restaurants became a thing of the past. Our final item is rather woolly, but don't worry, it's just a blanket. Blankets, throws and cushions were the perfect way to add a splash of color to your furniture. Often handmade by women, these were popular ways of using leftover wool. Homes would be decked out with knitted cushion covers, blankets, and even rugs. Even men could get involved with crochet by making lampshades. No one wanted a bare bulb hanging over their 1960s living room.